In today's video, I'll be going over Leetcode problem 226, invert a binary tree. The problem statement states to invert a binary tree, and the first step to solving the problem is to understand what the problem is asking for. To invert a binary tree, in this case, looking at the input and output, we can deduce that the left and right subtree at each level have been swapped. So on the first level, 4 and 4. On the next level, the subtrees have been swapped. So 4's left child is 2 and its right child is 7. But on the output, 4's right child is 7 and the left child is 2. Same thing on this level. 2's left child is 1 and the right child is 3, while on this level 2's right child is 1 and the left child is 3. Same thing here, 6 and 7, but here it has been swapped to 9 and 6. Another way we can look at this to proper understand it is for each node, the left and right subtrees have been swapped. So for 4, it's 2 and 7, but over here in the output, for 4, it's 7 and 2. For 2, it's 1 and 3, but over here in the output, it's 3 and 1. So writing that down can help us understand what we need to do in terms of what's happening to the binary search tree. So let me pick 2, 3, 1, but we want this to become 2, 1, and 3. We can go through each level and swap the left and right subtrees, and this would solve our problem. But the main thing we need to think about while solving these problems and other problems related to binary trees and just trees in general is keeping track of the nodes as we iterate through the tree, because the main problem becomes the structure of the tree. If we think about it, when we're giving a tree, all we're giving is the root node. In this case, all we'll be given will be 4. 4 has 2 properties. It points to a left tree, which is a node, and a right tree, which is another node. Technically speaking, in this binary tree, there's no way for us to point back to 4. So as we're iterating through the tree, going from the roots down to the children, we need to think about how we can keep track of the sub-trees. So a typical example would be, for example, when we have 4, 2, 7. Well, we can easily swap 4's children to be 4, 7, 2. Okay, the next step then becomes to swap the subtrees. We can then go down to the left, say we're using 2. 2 has a subtree of 1 and 3. And we can swap this easily by doing 3 and 1. This makes sense. But when we're done with 2, say we keep going down and we're now at 1. 1 has a subtree of null and null, and this has a subtree of null. 3 has a subtree of null and null as well. And so there'll be no need for us to swap that. However, when we are done with this, we need to figure out a way, okay, we're done with the left side, which is 1 and 3. How do we then go back to the right side, which is 7? And that's where the interesting part of the problem comes into play. For this, there are several ways we can do it. This is why this problem has 2 main ways to solve it. We could do it recursively or we could do it iteratively. Doing it iteratively basically means keeping track of the nodes as we iterate the tree. There are several data structures we can use for this solution. We can use a queue, we can use a stack. A stack would be similar to doing it recursively, because when we do something recursively, there's a recursive stack that gets built up. And so for the iterative solution, we would use a queue. A queue basically has that first in, first out property. So this idea becomes, before, as we iterate through the tree, we would store each node that we're iterating through. So the first node we get is the root, which is 4. We would put 4 in our queue. We would then pop 4 out of our queue. 4 is out of the queue. We would swap 4's left and right. We would swap 4's left and right children. So 4 has a left child of 2 and 7, so this becomes 7 and 2. But before we swap them, we would put those values in the queue. So we would put 7 and we would put 2. So that when we then go to swap 7's children, rather than relying on going to the left, we would rely on the information that we already put in the queue right here. So we'll take 7 out. Well, now that we have 7, we can easily swap 7's children from 6 to 9 to 9 and 6. If you notice, if we relied only on the information from 7, there is no way for us to know that 7 is the right child of 2, except using 4, which is the parent. And that's why we stored this information in a queue prior to iterating through the queue. Same thing here happens. When we're done, we would put 9 and 6 in the queue. Or we could potentially check if they don't have any children. If the left and right child are null, then there would be no need to put them in the queue. But in this case, for continuity, let's put them in the queue. We would put 9 and 6. We would then pop 2 out of the queue, as 2 is our next element to pop. And 2 has 2 children, which are 3 and 1. The next thing we would do would be to add those children to the queue. 3, 1. We would then swap them. So this would become 3, 1. And in this case, we can then move on to the next element, which is 9. But since 9 has no children, we can automatically, there would be no need to swap null and null, so we could take these out as well. This then gives the solution to the problem. Again, the basic idea behind it is, as you iterate through each level and swap, just keep track of what you need to do on the next level. So 4, we added it to our queue. The next step becomes 7 and 2. We would then add the children of 4, which is 7 and 2, to our queue, swap them, then take the next element from the queue, which is 7, add its children, swap them, then takes the next element from the queue, which is 2. For the recursive approach, there's 2 ways we can do it. We can do it from the top of the tree, going down to the bottom, and at each level, we can swap the left and the right node. And since at each level we know what the left and the right is, after we swap, we can just simply call our function again, but pass the left, and then when we're done, we'll call our function again to pass the right. And in this case, rather than keeping track of the levels that we're in using a data structure, the recursive stack automatically does this for us. So that's the approach with going from the top to bottom. Swapping from the bottom down up would require us to know the left and right subtree at each level, which we already do. But the idea would be to percolate down the tree, and when we reach a node that has the left and right subtree of null, then we can then swap that, and then when we go back up at every level, we know the left and the right bottom subtree. For the iterative approach, as stated earlier, the first step would be to check if whatever the input they're giving us is null. If it's null, then there's no need to do anything, and we'll just return null. Next, we would create a queue. This queue is used to keep track of the nodes as we traverse through the tree, swapping the left and the right children, also known as swapping the left and the right subtree. After we create the queue, we add the root to the queue. We would then use this queue to iterate through. So we will keep going while the queue is empty. At each time, we get the current node, which in this case, in our first loop, would be the root node. We then swap the left and the right subtree. So that's exactly what is happening here, using a temp node to store the left and the right subtree. Basically what's happening here is the left and the right subtrees are being swapped. The next step would then be to check if the current node has a left subtree. So if it has, in this case, if the left subtree is not null, then we add that to our queue. Otherwise, if it's null, we don't add it to the queue. The same thing here with the right subtree. So as we go through level by level, we will swap the nodes, and we would add the left and right nodes to our queue if they're not null. And the final step would be to return the root node. of the tree that has been inverted. If we run this, we would see that it produces the proper and the correct answer. We can go level by level, swapping the left and the right subtree. In this case, I've created a helper function here to separate the main function from the helper function. And the first thing we do is, if we're giving a node, we check if that node is null. If it is null, we return. If it's not null, we swap the left and the right subtree, similar to what we did in the previous step where we just swapped 2 and we would just swap 7. Then we would then call our function to the left subtree. So after it has been swapped, it would be 7 in this case. So after, when this goes into the next function, we would have 7 here and would swap 9 and 6, and that would keep going on. When that is done, it would percolate back up. Since it's a recursive function, it would percolate back up, and it would then do the same thing for the right subtree. So we would eventually come back up and we would be at 4, and then the right subtree for 4 is 2, and it would then go down to 2. Remember, we've done the swap here in the beginning, so there's no need to swap 7 and 2 again. We would then go back to 2, and then we would call the helper function for 2, which would then swap 2's left and right subtree, and then follow on to the next phase. In the second approach, we're swapping from the bottom going back up. And so what would happen is, the first thing we would do is we would check if the root is null. If it's null, then we just return null. Otherwise, the tree node right we would call this function, we'll call our helper function, which is our recursive function, and pass the right root node. So we would keep going all the way to the right. In this case, it would be 4, then we'll go down to 7, then we'll go down to 9. When we're now at 9, we now have, we would then call 9.right, which is null. So the right node would now be null in this instance when we're at 9. Then we would call the left, which would be 9.left, which is null. So it would also be null. Then we would swap the left and the right. And then we would then percolate back up. What then happens is, when we return the root, it would be returning from this function. So the 7 would then have its right as the root we just returned, which is 9, and its left would be what we have here. And so it would then swap the left and the right. What happens is, this would happen for each of the nodes as we go down to the right. Then when we're back, we would then go down to the left as well. So when we're done, the left and right subtrees would be swapped. Running this should produce the results. This is accepted, and if we do the same thing for the previous version, that is accepted as well. So both methods work. One of them they just do things differently, and depending on the problem you're giving, it may be worth it to figure out which approach you understand better, because this approach can be, both approaches can help you to solve other problems better.